Women love to embarrass men. It's one of the weapons that they have in their arsenal. Obviously, women can't physically attack men because men have so much more like upper body strength. It's just not safe for them to do so. When they need to attack a man, they need to be more subtle about it. That's why women rely on strategies that center around reputation destruction. And that sort of thing fascinates them. That's why, high school girl cliques, their friendships are so tense and emotional all the time because they can say all these things behind each other's backs. It's why women read gossip magazines, go on social media, why they watch reality TV. Is that sort of thing that fascinates them. It's the sort of battleground of reputation destruction that they feel very comfortable in. Men don't find that nearly as interesting. We're more likely to watch like the UFC or something. It resonates with our conflict resolution. But while reputation destruction between women is often done with like secrets and whispers and saying things behind people's back, when it's done to a man, when a woman wants to destroy a man's reputation, it's not so much about whispers. She wants to do it publicly. She wants people to see. She wants him to be embarrassed. Why? Because it's really effective. Women do it to men because it works. It hurts a man to be embarrassed. Women have a lot of power over men in this regard because for a man, the respect that he receives from like other people is largely based on his competence, to the degree to which people respect him and admire him. Is he the real deal? Can he walk his talk? You've probably heard people like Jordan Peterson reference competence hierarchies, the idea that, men respect each other based on merit, based on talent, and we sort of sort out a bit of a hierarchy of respect based on who's kind of the best, who deserves that respect, who's trustworthy. So what happens when a woman embarrasses a man in front of other people and he is publicly humiliated and shown to be like vulnerable or a fraud or untrustworthy? Well, then people start to respect him a lot less. This is why public embarrassment is such a big deal for men, because if people see you being incompetent or being a fraud, then nobody's going to trust you. And if they don't trust you, they're not going to assign you any responsibilities. And a man without responsibilities is a man that nobody respects or values. It hurts men. And that's why low quality women will use this strategy of publicly embarrassing men in order to punish them. There's some examples of this in real stories as part of my course, so you can check that out here. But you've probably seen examples of this in your own life of women publicly embarrassing men. Like imagine a couple is at a party and they're having a fight and she decides to just air all the dirty laundry in front of everybody. She's flirting with other men. She's revealing secrets about her boyfriend. She's talking about his sexual inadequacies. It is such a trashy thing to do. I really have no time for low quality women who engage in this kind of behavior. If you're upset with your partner, then deal with it in private. Show some decorum, show some respect. At least then you can be sure that the person is actually trying to resolve the issue. Like, yes, we're in conflict, we're in disagreement, but I don't want to fight with you. Let's talk maturely like adults and try and resolve it. Get back on each other's team, not just attack and argue and fight with each other. I've seen women do this in like mixed company settings by embarrassing their boyfriend by like loudly and publicly disagreeing with them whenever they say something. Women do it because it works. It's really, really embarrassing for the men. Everybody's looking at him like, wow, like your girlfriend respects you so little that she's calling you a chump and disagreeing with you in front of all of these people and she doesn't even care. I've had high quality women tell me that they have a personal policy of never disagreeing with their boyfriend in front of other people. And I really applaud that instinct. It's not that she shouldn't be allowed to disagree, but just a basic understanding of a time and place and the impact that that's going to have on him. That should be the bare minimum that's expected of your girlfriend. This is your man. He's your guy. He's your boyfriend, your teammates. By supporting him, you're supporting yourself. It's your job to build him up, to encourage him, not to tear him down in front of other people because you're feeling petty and vindictive. It's a little bit controversial to say this in today's climate, but to a certain extent, a woman's happiness is dependent upon her man. If you want to see me go into a full deep dive on that, it's the latest topic of my Patreon video, so check that out here. So as a man who doesn't want to be publicly humiliated and embarrassed by women, obviously your first step is to only spend time with high quality women who have, as part of their personal value system, a promise to not do that. They have a sense of morality that they're not going to subject men to that kind of public embarrassment. So if you're spending time with women who don't have that personal morality and you're dating the kind of woman who would happily publicly embarrass you and she thinks there's nothing wrong with that, first step, dump her. But that's obvious. If you really want to sink into this topic with a lot more depth, let's try and approach it psychologically, okay? Understand that a woman only has a power to embarrass you if you have given her that power. It's like that martial arts principle of using your opponent's strength against you. That's what this is. Think about it. If her plan of attack is to embarrass you by like publicly exposing you, you can only feel embarrassed if that embarrassment lives inside you. If you're not embarrassed about something, then she really has no weapon to use against you. I understand this is all easier said than done. If you need some advice, like about your own personal situation, you can hit me up here and go into your specific situation. But really, when you think about it, what is embarrassment like at its core? It's public exposure of a part of yourself that you wish wasn't there or that you don't want other people to see. So if you've got a man who's got this persona of being like the tough guy, like really strong and macho, but inside he's actually very scared and weak and fragile, then the women in his life have a huge amount of power over him because they could expose him. They could act in such a way that's going to demonstrate to people that the guy is really weak and fragile, and he's terrified of that. But a man who is genuinely tough, he is actually sincerely strong inside himself, he's not going to be vulnerable to that same kind of embarrassment because he has nothing that can be exposed. What's she going to point to? If there's nothing fake about him, then he can't be exposed as a fraud. So right now, as you're watching this video, I want you to think about something that you're embarrassed about yourself, that you would feel extremely humiliated if it ever was publicly exposed. Some character trait, some shameful secret you have about yourself, have that in mind. Oh God, I would be so embarrassed if a woman ever exposed me in front of other people about this thing that I'm always trying to keep hidden, that I don't like about myself. Okay, you got that thing in mind? Now, let me tell you, you've got two options on how to deal with this. One is to fix it, change it. Whatever the thing is inside yourself, make it something different. Grow, learn, transform so that you're no longer that same person. That's one option. The second option is to accept who you are, to actually feel at peace about it so that if it was exposed, you don't feel embarrassed or ashamed because you're happy, you've accepted yourself. You don't mind people to see it. You're not trying to hide anything. So to give a demonstration, say you're some young guy and you're embarrassed about your lack of experience with women, and it would be like your nightmare if some girl in the middle of a party was to like point at you and say, hey, you've never even dated a girl before. So how are you going to prevent this? Well, you've got those two methods. One is to go out there and get experience with women so that you no longer have anything to be embarrassed about. Or the second way is just deal with it internally. Recognize that you're still a young guy, still developing, and that the dating market sucks. It's normal that it should take some time to get good at this stuff. Why should you feel embarrassed? Do you see how powerful that is? Like if you genuinely accept yourself and you're not worried about being exposed, if a woman was ever to do that to you, to point at you and try and humiliate you in that way, you could just look at that girl and say, I'm actually very comfortable with where I'm at life. I must say, I feel embarrassed on your behalf right now. What you're doing right now is really weird. You should sit down. Just because a woman wants to embarrass you does not mean that you have to be embarrassed. It takes two to tango. Her frame is that you should be humiliated, but you don't have to operate inside her frame. So either of those two techniques will work, but one technique is guaranteed to fail. And unfortunately, it's the most popular technique chosen by men who don't want to be embarrassed. They think that they're just going to develop better and better ways of hiding it from people so that no woman's ever going to be able to tell their shameful secret or the things that they're embarrassed about. I hate to say it, but this is such a case of male arrogance, thinking that he's going to be successful in that task. Do you have any understanding of how much better women are at this social stuff than we are? While men for hundreds of thousands of years were developing instincts to do with strength and hunting and fighting and all of that stuff, women were honing their skills about socializing, body language, tone of voice, reading meaning into words that you weren't even aware were imbued with meaning. Women are so much better at this stuff than men are. Add on top of that, women are especially sensitive to how a man is coming across because it's such an important part of their psychology that they can understand who's high quality and who's faking it because they don't want to accidentally fall for the wrong guy and have kids with a chump. As good as you think you are at faking it, at coming across as Mr. Suave, Mr. High Value guy, I promise you, 99% of women are better at figuring you out than you are at hiding it. If you don't believe me, okay, but your arrogance is going to get you into trouble. That false confidence is going to get blown apart at some point. Women can smell insecurity on a man. They can sniff out a fraud. If you are acting like somebody that you're not, they will find out. They will test you. They will poke you. They will prod prod you. The little social experiments they put you under will be relentless, and at some point you will fail, you'll be exposed, and you'll be embarrassed, and you'll have nobody to blame but yourself. Do not expect mercy from women. They will be absolutely brutal. They will feel justified in their brutality. When a man is trying to come across in a way differently than he actually is, women feel personally attacked, and they're not entirely wrong to feel that way. Because like I said earlier, the evolutionary consequences for a woman being tricked about the quality of a man are so huge. This is why women feel morally justified in giving men tests at being vicious if they ever find a man was faking his confidence or pretending to be somebody other than he truly is. Because in their minds, they're not attacking that man. In their minds, it's self-defense. So please don't be complacent about this and rely on your skills of like fakery or expect mercy from women. Women are not going to give up public embarrassment as a weapon. It's too powerful. Why would they? So if you want to be safe, the only way to do it is to be a man of integrity. Stop with the lies, stop with the fakery, learn how to be at peace with yourself. That way, if she ever does try to like publicly expose you, she'll find that you're actually consistent, you're congruent, you were always being honest, and then she's the embarrassed one because she misread the situation and she ends up humiliating herself. Remember that honesty and authenticity are one of the strongest expressions of masculinity.